Well, to speak about the plans of the federal government to fund the MSMEs and jumpstart the economy all over again, we have the Special Assistant to the President on MSMEs, Tola Adekunle Johnson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Perhaps some education would be in order to begin with. So there is the Economic Sustainability Committee working on the National Economic Sustainability Plan. Could you give us a little bit of a background, and then this 2.3 trillion naira, how are we going to access it?
All right. Good morning to your team. The first thing was that pre-COVID, we had an approved budget initially that had been approved. But we all know that immediately the lockdown was ordered by the PTF. It became imperative for us as a government to act and act very quickly. So that's why Mr. President graciously set up the Economic Sustainability Committee, which is headed by His Excellency, Mr. Vice President. Now, a part of the approved plan of the Economic Sustainability Plan are some schemes for MSMEs. And two particular schemes that I'll speak about are the guaranteed trusts and guaranteed offtake guaranteed plan for the MSMEs. It's called the GOS plan. That's the guaranteed offtake scheme. What that would do is that MSMEs across the country who are able to produce things like face masks, maybe hand sanitizers, because these have become essential commodities now, and it looks like face masks, hand sanitizers will be with us for a bit. So they will be encouraged to manufacture and produce all of those materials. Then the federal government, on its part, will buy those materials off them and now distribute across the country to MSMEs or to Nigerians that are in need of them. Because an average face mask, as I'm told, or an average face mask sells between 500 and maybe 700, and I think the cheapest I've found was maybe 350, 400. It is not every Nigerian that can afford to do that or to take out 350 every day to replace a face mask. Especially for instance, a Nigerian that has a family of 4. Basically, so if you are going to be doing that, that means you're looking at 1,400 naira every day on face mask alone. Now, so the government has committed to do that with the guaranteed offtake scheme. The second scheme.
Before you move on to the next point, just clarify this on that particular guaranteed offtake scheme. How guaranteed is that off-taking? Because if the government is going to be the off-taker, isn't that an artificial off-taking scheme rather than ensure that the natural cycle is there, wherein you get the product, the off-takers in the private sector or whichever other sector, and then the cycle continues growing the industry? Because how long would the government be the off-taker for?
All right, Chamberlain. So the lifespan of this particular scheme is for 3 months. It's meant to be for 3 months. Now, what that scheme is, during the conceptualization of that scheme, what the scheme was meant to do was to ensure that MSMEs do not start laying off staff. There are a lot of MSMEs that have shut down their businesses since March. There are a lot of MSMEs that are not even sure that their businesses will run again. So the essence of that scheme is to put some money in the hands of the MSMEs and ensuring that the government on its own at least does that immediately for them, basically. So that is why the government will commit to buying those things off them. The government will commit buying those things off them. In that sense, you are putting some money in the hands. There are a lot of MSMEs that have not had a single transaction since March. Since March. So what this will do for those MSMEs is that at least they are able to, for instance, run their businesses. They are able to, say, for instance, pay their staff. It's targeted at MSMEs with a minimum of 3 staff. what we want, or what we want is for MSMEs to still be able to pay staff. And what we did not want is for MSMEs to start laying off staff.
What's the thinking behind 3 months? Could you tell us the thinking behind 3 months?
Initial
Because,
conceptualization.
if it's from March to now, you're looking about 4 or 5 months. And if it's COVID considerations, it's going to last longer than some are even saying the effect of COVID will still be on until next year. So why 3 months?
No. The plan is to ensure that immediately MSMEs are supported within 3 months. The MSMEs are supported within 3 months. So, yes, you are right that the COVID lockdown in Nigeria was, I think it started at the end of March. So, to about this time now is about 4 months. But what we are saying is that we intend to have a program with a 3-month cycle that is foolproof, that can support the MSME space. That will lead me into, maybe when I explain what the Survivor Fund is and tie it, then you understand why the cycle is 3 months. Now, the Survivor Fund is supposed to help MSMEs across sectors, such as private schools, hotels, whatever form of sector or cluster you find yourself as an MSME, and you are being unable to pay your salaries of your staff. This Survivor Fund has a scheme in it called the payroll support. The payroll support scheme is supposed to augment salaries for MSMEs. Now, it is targeted at MSMEs that have a minimum of 10 staff and a maximum of 50 staff. What that will do for you is that once the people in charge, or the people that will be tasked with the responsibility of running this scheme, sends out the requirements, and you meet those requirements, you will send your payroll you will send your payroll from October last year till ending of March this year. That will be verified. It will be duly verified. And once it is duly verified, your staff will be paid a sum once every month for 3 months. Your staff will be paid a sum once every month for 3 months. They will be credited that money directly into their accounts. Now, why
just a minute.
Decide that?
So just some clarification on that as well. First, you mentioned hotels, so I just wondering, what kind of hotel is going to have just 10 members of staff? But okay, so if they are going to give them a sum, is that a specific sum, or is it going to vary from MSME to MSME, having looked at their books and their capacity? And then, if you're going to be paying directly to the members of staff, aren't you going to be breathing? Because if a member of staff is really under discipline, if he's getting funds from government, is it going to be answerable still to the parent to the company?
Okay. Let me quickly talk about the hotels you mentioned. Chamberlain, you will be shocked, as the number of hotels who are about 50 staff, and their staff are paid under 40,000 naira, for instance, every month. There are a lot of hotels. It's not every hotel that are the big shots, or that are the big shots.
There are
a
10.
lot of hotels that have between 10 and 50 staff, and are paid this sum. And secondly, they are still working on the modalities of whether to pay them a fixed sum, or, like you rightly said, to look at the books and look at what is recommended to be paid to them. Now, these MSMEs or this staff, they are not working for the government, but the government is just doing its own bit. What the government is saying is that let's say Chamberlain Nigerian Limited. You have a company, or let's say you have a private school, and you've somehow qualified for this scheme. You have 20 staff. These are your staff. The only time the staff will be dealing with the government is when they hear an alert, receive an alert from the federal government. You are the one that will process and say from October last year to March this year, these are the people that have been on my payroll. You are the ones that will do all the due diligence and send whatever it is that so the staff will be answerable to you. We are not going to interfere with how you run your business or what you do with your staff. The staff will be answerable to you. Ours is just to do our bit as government to ensure that, like the other scheme, that people are able to pay salaries and that people do not now start laying off. Because like you rightly said too, no one can truly say that this COVID pandemic will be over at XYZ time. So, and that is why the initial effect is going to be for 3 months. And then as the time elapses, hopefully we'll look at what we have at hand at that time and we'll cross that bridge.
But it would seem like this program is only for micro and small businesses, and it may have left out the medium enterprises, and it's not. So it's just MSEs and not MSMEs, because medium enterprises are supposed to have between 50 and 199 staff. So if this scheme is only addressing people who have 50 staff at the most, isn't that, you know, contravening the M, removing the M sector of the MSMEs?
Okay, what you must understand is that there are various schemes that are ongoing right now. And I'm sure you are aware that through the CBN, they've been disbursing, I think, 25 million naira to businesses that can prove that their business has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. So I want to believe that a lot of the aims will qualify in that regard. And I'm aware that there are also other schemes within the economic sustainability plan that will cater for all such sectors as well. So this particular scheme, if you notice that in the past, it is the micros that have been left out of a lot of these schemes. And you see, the last survey done by the NBS and SMEDAN on the MSME space says that we have a 41.5 million businesses in Nigeria, 41.5 million. And that same survey says that inside the 41.5 million, the micro are 41.1 million.
Okay, well, it's a good place to ask you this question, Mr. Adekunle Johnson. Hitherto, pre-COVID, there were plans by government, reserved funds here and there. The CBN had some 50 billion naira MSME funding and a number of other initiatives like that. Now is this one that you're talking about in the National Economic Sustainability Plan. The question of what is answered. It's the how. How do these MSMEs access these funds? Because we also understand from this number that you have talked about now, some 40 million of these 41 point something that you talked about are not registered. So how do these MSMEs access these funds so that indeed we can jumpstart the economy as the plan is? Okay,
so I would, for the CBN funds, they had a portal that was open for businesses to apply for those funds. At some points, we had our office interfaced with the CBN, and the CBN governor graciously even took off one of the requirements, which was for you to have a guarantor to ensure. So this was to ensure that businesses were quickly able to access those funds. So that's as far as the MSME and the NISA funds. I'm aware that the portal was opened, a certain number of businesses applied, a certain number of them have been disbursed to. Now, for these particular schemes that I've just spoken about, A portal will be open in the same manner. A portal will be open, an announcement will be made for businesses across the country to go and register. And one other thing inside this scheme that I'm quickly mention is that, like you rightly said, that a lot of these businesses are not registered. So there's provision inside this same scheme for government to register as much as 100,000 new businesses as well at a highly discounted rate. So it will also be an opportunity for a lot of SMEs that have not been registered to seize the opportunity, especially business names, to go and register their businesses. You see, in this space, the government is trying to do all it can for this MSME space. And that is why even for a program like the MSME Awards that the government does every year to recognize SMEs that have paid their dues and that have run their businesses well in the preceding year, is still ongoing. Even though this year is going to be ongoing, it's going to be hard virtually. The program is today. The federal government is still giving out cash prizes and huge media support to MSMEs across the country. So today, a number of MSMEs across the country will be receiving brand new cars. A lot of them will be receiving cash prizes. A lot of them will be receiving media support for their businesses for what they have done in the preceding year, which is last year. So in what we are trying to do, you see, COVID has limited us to doing things virtually. That's limited a lot of what we are able to achieve. So, but what we are trying to say is that we cannot stop the little things that we can still get on to achieve creatively, whether it's virtually or whether it's reducing the number of people we deal with while maintaining the social distancing rules and regulations put in place by NCDC.
Okay, well, we've got this to ask you, even though you tell us the criteria for qualification for that registration process. Well, okay, maybe it will be on the portal. But there's this question coming through from, well, his Twitter name here is what? Correct? Okay, that's what I see. He says to ask you, why is the moratorium for the AGSMEs loan reduced to 6 months and 3 months instead of a year? Why are monies being slashed from people's business plans, if you understand that?
I get that correct. And we are actually having a discussion with the management of NISA. And in some cases, the CBN itself has had to intervene. And I want to believe what that person is asking is, because we've had cases of people that will apply for a certain sum. Say, for instance, you apply for a certain sum. Let's use 5 million for the purpose of this our meeting. That you apply for 5 million naira business support loan, and I believe that whether it's NISA, whether it's CBN, will have their own review team that will holistically look at your business plan and tell you that this is what they think you need at this point in time for your business. So I want to believe that that's what that person is writing to inquire about. I believe that they would have a team that will review whatever it is that you have submitted as a bankable business plan, and they will tell you that, okay, based on the information we have gathered from you, this is what we think will suffice for your business at the moment. However, you might come for more. I want to believe that is the case. You know, I do not have the full information, but I want to believe that is the case. But we'll engage further on that after the program. Then secondly, I'm able to give you some of the criteria required for either the survivor fund or the guaranteed offtake scheme. It is simple. Just number one, the sponsor of the sponsor of any application should have a BVN. First things first, no application will be treated without a BVN, because that is what they plan to use to track those that really use the funds for whatever it is that they say they are going to use it for. So no application will be treated without a BVN. Your business must be fully registered. You must have like a TIN number. You must have like a TIN number. Then your number of staff. In the GOS plan, which is the guaranteed offtake, a minimum of 3 staff. in the survivor fund, which is the payroll support, a minimum of 10 staff. So all this, and I'm aware that you are going to be scoring points for this. Say, for instance, there are like 4 different categories. If you meet the BVN aspect,
all right,
you
Mr.
get
Tola
10
Adekunle
points.
Johnson,
If you meet,
I'm afraid we're out of
business,
time on this one, and the MSME won't help me if the account hit my pocket. But we do thank you for talking to us this morning. Tola Adekunle Johnson is a special assistant to the president.
Thank you, Chamberlain, and your team.